President, Mr. President, why not go further than just unsealing this?
Mr. President, did you send that letter? Release the full file.
All right, breaking news, folks. The typically media and camera-hungry Donald Trump has once again panicked and rushed out of the room when confronted by reporters to his face with questions about the ongoing Epstein scandal. The event he was leaving, I should note, we're going to dive into this, was him signing into law the Genius Act, which basically greenlights a lot of cryptocurrency corruption for Trump himself and his family. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, Donald Trump keeps just digging himself a proverbial hole with the Epstein scandal. It's not going away. He's trying to shake it off, as he usually has an extraordinary talent, is a frustrating talent, to just shake off any legitimate scandal that would have destroyed certainly any Democratic president and any pre-Trump Republican president. But he's Teflon Don for a reason. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's an indictment, quite frankly, of you and I and this entire country, because we grade Trump on a curve, and he is the last person on earth that you would ever want to do that, even if you support the notion to begin with, which you shouldn't. There should be one standard for politicians, and you should hold everybody to that standard, Republican or Democrat. Nevertheless, this is the one time Donald Trump is really hitting meaningful opposition and sustained opposition, and much of it coming from his own base. Now, as he's signing into law the Genius Act, which we'll dive into, and this is the event that, again, he's booking it out of there. I don't want to hear any questions about Jeffrey Epstein. Don't ask me about Jeffrey Epstein. He's still, at the moment he's trying to sign it, he's trying to reshape the narrative. Listen to what he says as he signs the Genius Act into law.
Sit down. When? Yeah, sir.
You got it?
Can you sit down? Thank you so much.
This is not an auto pen, by the way. Which is a big scandal. If that were a Republican, it would really be a big scandal. But it is one of the great scandals of our time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Surrounded by a bunch of losers there. Oh, you're so funny. He is so desperate to try to change the topic about Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden. He won't shut up about the auto, because he's like, why aren't you all taking the bait? Talk about the auto pen. No, asshole. People care much more about your potential complicity in what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein and your violation of campaign promises and commitments. And I love the fact that the media isn't taking the bait. And you can see the frustration. He's signing a bill into law, which is going to greenlight his crypto corruption. It's going to make him all kinds of money. And he still can't help but think, you guys are still talking about the Jeffrey Epstein thing. Why aren't you talking about crooked Hillary? Why aren't you talking about Kamala Harris? Why aren't you talking about the auto pen? It's not working, and I love it. I love it. Let's make sure it continues. If you want to frustrate Donald Trump, annoy Donald Trump, make Donald Trump really, really sad, keep the eye on the Jeffrey Epstein files and Trump's really sus reactions to it, and how he's taken this scandal and made it so much worse with his disastrous mishandling and attacking his own base, his own constituents. Stunning stuff from Donald Trump. Now, let's talk about the actual Genius Act, because this is a big deal, folks, okay? And all the stuff going on with Donald Trump in this country, and this is, again, where it's just something. Donald Trump is so corrupt and incompetent and authoritarian that the modern American mind, we're just not equipped to handle it. We have such short attention spans. We easily forget. We're looking for that latest dopamine hit, right? Donald Trump, as you may have forgotten, sometimes it's been a couple of days since I thought about it consciously. He's objectively the most corrupt president in the history of this country, and especially with regards to financial corruption, right? Remember the bullshit Trump meme coin and everything that he launched right before he was inaugurated? It was after he won the election. But then right before his inauguration, he launches this meme coin, which has made him all kinds of money, his World Liberty Financial stable coin, all of this. The Genius cryptocurrency bill, and it's called the Genius Act, right? That's not my name for it. It's what it is. Gives him a green light. It's shocking. As Wired reports, Congress passes Genius Act in major win for crypto industry. Experts say the legislation could unleash a tidal wave of new stable coins and fresh complaints about Trump's crypto entanglements. The House of Representatives on Thursday voted overwhelmingly to pass the country's first significant cryptocurrency regulation, the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. It will now go to Trump for final approval and his signature, which we just saw. That's what he did. If enacted, the bill would establish rules for issuers of stablecoin, a type of coin pegged at a $1 valuation, which proponents have pitched as a faster and cheaper way to make payments. The bill requires issuers to collateralize stablecoins with low-risk assets on a one-to-one basis, provide accounts to a state or federal regulator, and maintain anti-money laundering controls, which might sound great, except, again, it doesn't go nearly far enough, and the article will get into it. In June, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he believes that the stablecoin economy could reasonably exceed $2 trillion, up from the $195 billion of today, off the back of the Genius Act. On the campaign trail last year, Trump pledged to turn the U.S. into the crypto capital of the planet. After the Genius Act cleared the Senate in June, Trump called for the House to deliver the bill to his desk ASAP with no further modifications or additions. He has now gotten his wish. David Sachs, a venture capitalist serving as the so-called White House AI and crypto czar, celebrated the bill's passage in a social media post. Quote, "Massive wins for crypto in the House," Sachs wrote. The crypto industry has been widely heralded the bill as a historic step that will better protect stablecoin holders from fraud and reckless mismanagement and help to prevent them from being abused by criminal actors. Quote, "Gone are the days where you could be a stable in name-only coin and freely enter the U.S. market," says Dante Disparte, Chief Strategy Officer at Circle Internet Group, issuer of USDC stablecoin. This is the key part, but critics see the Genius Act as a light-touch concession to an industry that spent hundreds of millions of dollars influencing the outcome of congressional races in 2024. Quote, "New laws are needed to establish crypto guardrails and safeguards, but this one is ineffectual or worse," said Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal after the bill passed in the Senate. Opponents claim the bill does not go far enough in eliminating loopholes, guarding against fraud by stablecoin issuers, or addressing potential conflicts of interest arising from the Trump family's crypto endeavors. The stablecoin business model is relatively simple. Customers exchange U.S. dollars for coins that can be used for payments for or to trade freely for other cryptocurrencies. The stablecoin issuers keep some of those dollars in cash and cash equivalents and invest the rest into yield-bearing assets like government bonds and pocket the interest. A stablecoin holds steady valuation by way of the understanding that, if ever somebody wants to redeem a coin for the dollar it represents, the issuer can dip it into its reserve and pay them. In the past couple of years, a handful of other companies, including PayPal, Ripple, and World Liberty Financial, which is affiliated with the Trump family, have joined industry stalwarts Tether and Circle in issuing stablecoins. But experts predict the passage of the Genius Act will lead to an explosion in the number of dollar-denominated stablecoins. Competition will be fierce, said Christian Carlentini, founder of MIT Crypto Economics Lab and co-creator of Diem, the now defunct stablecoin project funded by Meta. Well, you will see many more issuers enter the market and compete. Many of those issuers will be more traditional banks and fintechs. Crypto advocates argue that stablecoins will strengthen the U.S. dollar as a global reserve currency by increasing demand in developing countries with unstable economies and allow the U.S. to borrow more cheaply by juicing demand for government bonds. Quote, "You couldn't come up with a better innovation for the greenback on a whiteboard," says Christopher Perkins, president at crypto VC firm CoinFund. However, a stablecoin proliferation could destabilize the financial system if regulators fail to maintain proper oversight, critics have warned. If, for example, a major issuer were to fatally mismanage a stablecoin reserve, leading to a collapse in the coin's value and a potential run on other stablecoins, the value of U.S. government bonds could tumble as issuers are forced to liquidate their reserve assets to cover redemptions, leaving taxpayers potentially on the hook to pay for bailouts. Which is probably why, just a sidebar, you really want the Genius Act to have very strict and ruthless guardrails so as to avoid shit like that, right? Quote, "I'm very wary of steps to basically integrate privately issued currency further into the financial system. At bottom, that's what this represents," says Jacob Silverman, co-author of the book Easy Money, Cryptocurrency, Casino Capitalism, and the Golden Age of Fraud. Another common objection to the Genius Act relates to the absence of any provisions that would prevent Trump and his family from profiting from their own stablecoins. In May, World Liberty Financial announced that its USD1 stablecoin would be used by investment firm NGX, which is funded by the United Arab Emirates, to make a $2 billion investment in Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange. That's the key part. The Trump-affiliated firm could earn tens of millions of dollars from the deal, which sparked complaints among critics who claimed the transaction amounted to, quote, foreign policy for sale. Duh. Quote, by passing the Genius Act, politicians are blessing the corruption of Donald Trump, claimed Silverman. Quote, we want to protect consumers, but I don't think crypto should be further legitimized in the U.S. until the situation with Trump's crypto corruption and the Republican Party is resolved, end quote. Yes. Yes. But we just don't care. We just don't care. We celebrate corruption now. Imagine if a Democrat did this. The White House did not respond to a request for comment. Yet when the House came to vote on Thursday, even lawmakers who had previously objected to Trump's crypto entanglements, among them Congressman Sam Liccardo, a Democrat who in February introduced legislation meant to prevent elected officials from profiting by their own crypto coins and other certain assets, lined up behind the Genius Act. So I want to be clear here. This had an overwhelming bipartisan support. Certainly more Republicans voted for it than Democrats. Want to be clear about that. More Republicans than Democrats. But I'm pretty sure over 100 Democrats, basically 50% of the caucus, voted for this shit. That's a problem. Quote, whether there is congressional seal of approval or not, it is obvious that the Trump meme coin scheme and now stablecoin scheme appear to be uninhibited by any concerns that people might have, says Liccardo. Quote, even if we got exactly the language that I wanted in this bill to prohibit Trump, we don't have a Department of Justice that's ever going to prosecute this president or anyone around him for violating that law, he said. The DOJ did not respond to requests for comment either. Though the Genius Act might be imperfect, the urgent need to rein in the wild card stablecoin market demanded a calculated compromise, Liccardo says. Quote, if we pass nothing, we continue to have great uncertainty about who can regulate and how. I see this as not wanting to make the perfect the enemy of the good. Yeah, listen to me. And maybe this is something I'll do. I need to probably try to have conversations with Democratic lawmakers who voted for this shit because I want to grill them about how they would effectively greenlight Trump's corruption and how that wasn't a deal breaker, especially when he's been empowered disturbingly in so many other ways, like the Trump presidential immunity scheme and shit like that. Like, why on earth would you... Obviously, no Democrat, including Liccardo here, wants Trump to be able to do this. I want to be clear. But the fact that they would even permit it is a huge problem to me. And I want commitments from them that they will aggressively, ruthlessly pursue ways to hold him accountable elsewhere. If you give up on this shit, as far as I'm concerned, never mind. I get worked up about this. I mean, the corruption angle is just gross. But folks, there you have it. Donald Trump signing in I'm going to be super charitable and say, wildly flawed cryptocurrency regulation bill into law, which seems to greenlight his corruption. And while he's there, he's desperately trying to make it about Joe Biden and an auto pen in order to distract from the Epstein scandal. And when confronted about the Epstein scandal, he basically rushes out of the room. He makes eye contact with reporters and then he just pieces out. He's got to get the hell out because he's terrified. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.